Welcome back to the Mind and Muscle Beyond 40 podcast. Today's episode is one that I'm so excited about. If you are over 40 and you feel like you are doing everything right, you are lifting your weights, you're getting your steps in, you're looking at your calories, your discipline is good, but the scale isn't moving and you are still tired all the time, this episode is for you. My guest today is the wonderful Maggie Topham. She's an integrative health coach. She is also the author of Metabolic Me. And Maggie has just such a fascinating background. She used to be a marathon runner. She was also a triathlete and she owned a dance studio. Yet she found herself at her largest size just as she was about to become a grandmother. Now, Maggie didn't find her way back to herself by following yet another restrictive diet. She did it through biohacking her insulin resistance and shifting to a muscle-centric lifestyle, which is exactly what MMB40 is all about. Today, we're going to dive into why 88% of us might actually have metabolic issues that we don't even realize, how to track what genuinely matters, and why muscle is the ultimate currency for aging strong. Let's get into it. Amazing. Okay, Maggie, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on the Mind and Muscle Beyond 40 podcast. It's an absolute honor to have you on here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. And I was so excited when I saw your email come through and I started looking through because I get a lot of those invitations
I bet you
sometimes.
do.
And when I
Yeah.
actually look, I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to talk to her. Like
Yeah.
I was just excited that it was someone legit that
Mm.
I actually wanted to spend some time with.
Amazing. I am honored.
Well,
That's
thank
amazing.
you. Thank you for
Oh,
reaching out.
good, good. Well, we have got such a great chat planned for today. And a lot of the women who listen to the podcast are in their 40s and far beyond. So I think this chat is going to be so valuable to them. We have a lot of advice to give you, ladies. So stick around. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube and enjoying our beautiful outfits that we've color coordinated for you subconsciously.
See, like minds think alike. Look at
Yes,
us. Look at
exactly.
us.
Across the pond, we're synced up.
Yes.
I love it. But if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe as well. Any questions, any comments, stick them in the comment section. So we are just going to jump straight in. So, um, Maggie, I'm curious. You used to be a high level athlete. Like we're talking marathons, triathlete. So most people think that's the epitome of health, right? How is it that you were still what you refer to as metabolically sick despite all of that activity? How's that possible?
Okay, first of all, I love it that you called me a high-level athlete. I feel really validated now.
You're welcome.
Love that. Let's
Yes.
just stay with that.
Let's roll with it. It's great.
So it's just amazing what men just have it so much easier than us.
They do. They do.
As we're just taught, and when we're younger, it works. The more we move, we just
Mm.
can kind of keep our muscle. We can kind of just stay lean. We
Yeah.
just keep moving. We kind of put our body through some horrible things. Like I look at some of the things I put my body through. I'm like, I want to go back and give that girl a hug. I'm like, thank you for trying to stick it out. You tried so hard. Good
What
job,
was what was
body.
the worst thing you put your body through?
Just the deprivation and just the
Oh.
punishment,
Mm,
like
mm,
living off
mm.
800 calories
Oh
and yet
my goodness.
going for
Wow.
an hour swim and then a 2-hour
Wow.
bike ride and then an hour jog.
My
So,
goodness.
especially when you're training for triathlons, I mean, usually you do 2 disciplines a day. So I would go for a run and then I'd go for a bike ride, or I'd go for a bike ride and then a swim. So just planning my life
Wow.
around activity and
Mm,
then
mm,
thinking,
mm,
well, the smaller I am,
mm,
the better it'll be.
mhm.
So trying to live off literally like 800 calories a day, thinking, yes, my body will still perform. And it tried really hard. It did.
Wow.
It did. And
Wow.
when you're younger, you can kind of get away with that.
So
But
how young
man,
were you
that
at this point?
that backfired on me. So we really got into triathlons about in my, I think it was the year I turned 40 actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And really that was my thing for like
Mhm.
5 or 6 years. So, sometimes I would do back-to-back races like weekend,
Wow.
not really even recovering, thinking, "Oh, if I'm just in this shape, I should just keep going, keep going, keep going." And it really started to backfire. My
Wow.
hormones, I
Mm,
that was a
mm.
hard time to be right in the middle of perimenopause and
I can
just
imagine.
and no one ever said the word hormone to me. I
Yeah.
was going to doctors. What's wrong
Mhm.
with me? I'm getting really depressed. I'm not sleeping. I'm no one, not one doctor ever said, "Hey, you probably should be like upping your protein."
That's crazy. And so
And you
this is
probably
about 12 years ago, right?
let's
Ish?
see. Ish, yeah, yeah.
Ish?
About
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Okay.
So
So
right,
yeah,
yeah,
12 years ago, the conversations
yeah,
around perimenopause, menopause weren't existing. So wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, just backfire. Everything I was doing, like why I should be like fit. Like, why am I gaining weight in my midsection? Why am I not sleeping?
Wow.
Where's the
Mhm.
definition in my legs? Like my body just it started to really backfire and I knew something was off.
Yeah, yeah. So you were training all the time, you're doing all this activity,
Mhm.
you are surviving on an amount of calories that I think they had people on in The Biggest Loser. I think that
Yes.
was an 800 calorie experiment
Yeah, I
that
think so. I think you're
backfired.
right.
So you're doing all these things and you're still gaining weight, you're seeing belly fat increase, and you're wondering what is actually going on.
Yeah, none of it made
Mm.
sense. That's not what
Mhm.
I've been taught.
Yeah,
That's not what the fitness industry says. I mean, we should
yeah.
be able to eat less, move more, and be the size we wanna be.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, so I went on a deep search. I thought something's got to change.
Mm,
I stopped racing, and of course, the month I
mm,
stopped racing, like 20 pounds came on,
mm.
like, that month. And so,
Wow.
boom, I just got hit. I got the biggest I'd ever been,
My
the most
goodness.
metabolically unhealthy I'd
Mm,
ever been,
mm,
was pre-diabetic. My body just said, "Girl, it's time to slow down. We gotta figure
yeah,
some stuff out."
yeah. And so at this point, when you gained all that weight, were you still eating that amount of calories or had you just started
No,
eating more
I had
naturally?
I, of course, was trying to eat that many calories, but
Yeah,
I was starving,
I can
and
imagine.
yeah, I was so hungry.
For years.
Oh, my appetite was off the rails, and
Oh
then you
my
go through the whole
goodness.
mental part of it, just
Yeah,
punishing
yeah,
yourself. "Why can't I stop myself from eating that pink cookie? What's wrong with me?"
exactly.
Yes.
Not
So
understanding that your hormones are completely haywire now anyway, so you gotta fix them. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
So no satiety hormones. Like, when it
Mm.
comes to ghrelin and leptin,
Just like
that
yeah,
was out the door. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
I had
leptin so I'm just gonna quickly explain that leptin and ghrelin is your satiety and your hunger hormones. So when they go
exactly.
haywire, your body doesn't know when it's full, it doesn't know when it
Exactly.
just keeps wanting to eat. So, that makes total sense having been through what you went through.
Yes.
Mm,
And your body is going to continue to feel hungry till it gets what
mm,
it needs. And I was
right.
not prioritizing protein. I
Mm,
mean,
mm.
protein was something no, the protein's got fat. I don't wanna eat
Yeah.
that. I'll get more fat. I was doing
Oh,
everything the
man.
opposite. Like,
Yeah,
that's really what satiety teaches or society teaches us.
of
It's almost the
course. Fat makes
opposite
you
of
fat.
what we need to be. Yes.
Exactly. For years and
Yes.
years, fat makes you fat, fear fat. It's crazy, and that's what we need for
Yes.
healthy hormones.
Exactly.
Wow,
So I
wow.
needed to completely change what I was doing and get it figured
And you
out.
went on this journey on your own because you went to try and get help and you didn't find help or
I'd been to about six doctors or so that year, just trying to figure
wow,
out what was wrong. Not one mentioned the word hormone to me
crazy.
and kept putting me on more antidepressants
Oh,
and
wow.
sleeping
Yeah.
pills. So I walked out
Wow.
with a new antidepressant almost every time. And I knew innately, I'm like,
Oh,
that no one's speaking my language.
no.
So
No.
I went on a deep dive, deep dive. I thought I got to figure this out myself. And
Mm.
that's the way I am anyway.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'll just leave it to me. I'll figure it out.
I love
And
that. Love
so
that.
that's what I did. And I started understanding, oh, this is my like metabolism. And it's
Mhm.
all tied together. Oh, gut health and mental health.
Mm.
Oh, like all of these
Mhm.
functions work with each other.
Connected.
That was a
Yeah.
light bulb moment. Like,
Wow.
wait, our body's a whole? We're supposed to look at the whole thing?
Wait,
Yeah,
what? That's crazy.
yeah.
That's
So that was a light bulb
incredible.
moment. I never really considered, as obvious as it seems, I'd never really
Mm.
considered that before.
But I
So,
think it's one of those scenarios where it's only when you sit down and you actually sit back and look at the bigger picture and realize, hang on, it has to be connected because surely, nothing happens in isolation, but we're so just going, going, going that we need that mental headspace to just kind of regroup, which is what you then did. Wow.
yes.
And
Yes.
how long did the journey take for you to then figure out what the problem was and then getting on a road to recovery, so to speak?
Well, I just started when I got that pre-diabetes,
Mm.
diagnosis, I thought,
Wow.
I am falling off a cliff fast. Like, we
Yeah.
gotta figure this out." And
Mm.
I was listening to a podcast one day, and they were speaking my language. I thought, "Wait, this is making sense."
Mm.
And the girl I wish I had written down her name because I
Mm.
think about her all the time. I'm like, "This girl changed my life." She said,
Oh,
"I
that's
went
amazing. This is why
to"
you need to listen to
I
podcasts.
know, I know, you gotta listen. You might
Yes.
get that nugget that just makes the
Yeah.
difference. And
Mhm.
she said, "I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition."
Mm.
And everything she was saying, I thought, This is it." So that
Mm.
I'm going to that school. I
Mm.
I'm going there now. So I did the next week, I signed up.
Mm.
I thought, I'm gonna get certified. This is what I need to learn. These people are speaking my language." And then I started understanding functional health, and
Wow.
that was a huge,
Changed the game
oh,
completely.
there's
Mm.
there's conventional, then
Mm.
there's functional, then there's integrative.
Mm.
So that really I'd heard the term before, but didn't really
Mm.
understand what it meant,
Mhm.
and that was huge too. So many I can when I've had these light bulb moments,
Yeah.
I can see what I was wearing, I can see where I was,
Oh.
because it made it turned
Mm.
my life around, just
Changed your life.
understanding that.
So, and you are now an integrative health coach.
Yes,
So how
yes.
do you explain that, what that is?
Looking at the whole woman, and
Mm.
not just looking forward, not just looking at today, looking
Yeah,
at what happened in the past.
that's
So we
it.
look at it's the big picture. You look
Mm.
under the hood, you
Mm.
figure out where these
Mm.
symptoms are coming from, and you go to that. You don't
That's it.
just Yep, you don't just throw a Band-Aid on it, which I started to understand what conventional medicine, which I'm grateful for conventional
Yeah.
medicine. Like that
Yeah.
they're doing the best they can with what they're
Mhm.
given. We
Mm.
need that too, but I'm extremely grateful for those who are willing to look a little deeper, a little further upstream,
Yeah.
and a little further downstream.
And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful quality to foster in yourself as a woman beyond 40. I always tell women to advocate for yourself. Very often, I mean, I remember when I started s- with perimenopause symptoms, I was 42. And I sat in front of the GP and she was like, you're too young. And I was kind of like, but like all these things. And she's like, "Hell." And I really had to push. And I remember walking out of the GP's office and thinking, it shouldn't have to be that hard. But unless you advocate
Exactly.
for yourself and you push and you kind of build that muscle of wanting to explore and finding answers for yourself, a lot of things will stay a mystery. And you are living proof of going, actually, I'm going to just figure this out for myself. And it's also so rewarding, isn't it, going on that journey? 'Cause you did
Yeah,
that.
it
Mm,
well, and you did it. Like, good
mm,
for you that you sat
yeah.
there. Well, and that's another thing too, no one ever told me that I could, like, talk back to my doctor. Like,
Exactly, because
"Oh,
whatever I say
we can
goes.
do that?" Like, we can question we can tell the
Mm,
doctor what?
you get pushed back?
I
Like, what?
I can go in with a list and kinda make some, like, demands.
I went in with I had a little journal that I kept track of, and I remember her just looking at it, and I was like, "Bear with." And I
Yeah.
just kind of
Got some
ran
stuff for
through.
you, doc.
Yeah, exactly, and you kind of feel a little bit judged, and I was like, "You know what? I don't care because we need to get to the bottom of this," you know?
Good
Um
for you.
But
Good
that's
for
I
you.
love that you've said that, and actually, if you're a woman and listening to this podcast, and I hope that you'll learn a lot today, but if any of this lands in a way that it did for Maggie all those years ago, you need to go and do your research. You need to find people like Maggie, find people like me, or go on a hunt for more information because there's more to it than what we've been told. That's for sure. Definitely.
Definitely.
Mm,
Definitely, and good for
100%.
you. How old are you now, can I ask?
I'm 43. See, I have to think about that. Yeah, so it's only
Okay.
been I hang on a second. So I went to see her for the first time when I was 41. Actually. I'm lying. I was
Okay.
41. Yeah, it was
Okay.
41. And the journey has kind of been ongoing and I decided to go on HRT and then I came off HRT and currently I'm not on HRT. I'm kind of just seeing what my body needs right now and kind of rolling with it
Good for
and
you.
pushing into the nutrition and the training and the other aspects that I can control. And then I'm in conversations with her, but it's a very long and drawn out process. But Nothing happens fast. And the one thing I have learned with HRT is that there is no quick fix. There's no one size fits all approach, and you have to give it time. And I think a lot
Exactly.
of women fear it because we don't really understand what it might do. But ultimately, if you're open to exploring it as an option, I think you'll do better than being closed off or being really scared about it. I mean, we
Oh,
weren't we weren't going to chat about HRT yet, but can you share a bit about your personal journey?
yeah. So when I found finally a functional health team, that
Hmm.
I remember being on the call with them, and I remember started crying. I felt just so
Hmm.
relieved that someone was actually
Wow.
speaking my language. Said, "We're gonna get labs. This is what we're gonna check." And I remember just feeling so relieved, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
answers,
Mm.
answers
Mm.
finally." And so, of course, I got my labs back. They sat down with me for, like, 45 minutes to go
Wow.
over my that had never happened to me before. "Oh, we're actually looking like, we're not just talking about my symptoms, we're actually looking to see what's going on."
Yeah.
And right off the bat, like, the very first thing that they put me on was testosterone. And then
Okay.
she just, like, on
Yeah.
a side note, was like, "That's probably why you've been depressed." And, like, I
Mm.
was like, "What?" No, that
Interesting.
that's never been brought up to me. I'd been on
Mhm.
antidepressants for 27 years,
Oh my
and
goodness.
hormones had never been brought up to me, so I started to think, "I bet I could get off these antidepressants.
Yeah.
I bet I can quit feeling so flat." Like, that
Yeah.
no one
Yeah.
should feel flat. I've got great things going on in my life, and I
Yes.
feel flat and depressed. I feel medicated. I don't
Mm.
wanna feel medicated.
No.
And
No.
so that was one of the very first happiest things that happened to me is we very slowly just started a
Incredible.
little testosterone, and within 3
Yeah.
months, I was off my antidepressants, and
Wow.
I'm not telling this is not medical advice, this is what
Yes.
worked for me.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that, man, I bet my hormones have been a problem for
Mm.
most of my life,
Mhm.
especially because what I'd put my body through just
Yeah.
with athletics and being as active as like, they should have been looked at 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
probably could have saved me a lot of grief
Mm.
because
Mm.
it was exactly what my body needed, so I lucked out,
Mm.
and my life turned around. Everything I
Incredible.
would look at other people and think, "Man, they just look like they feel happy, like they wanna get up and do." They're not swimming upstream every single day,
Yeah.
and that's how
Yeah.
that's how I finally felt.
Wow.
So it was just game changing to finally get that
So
right. I was doing the lifestyle things
yeah.
pretty by that point, I'd
Mm.
figured out, yeah, I need to be actually giving my body nutrients. I need to
Yes.
be
Need to be
supporting
eating.
muscle. Yes, I
Yeah.
need to start lifting weights. I need to
Mm.
stop this chronic cardio. So all of
Mhm.
that all kinda started to fall into place, and my mental health along with my physical health just kinda came together. The
Kinda
pieces
clicked
started
in.
fitting. Yeah.
So at that point, when you started lifting weights, what was your physique like? Were you quite muscular anyway, or were you kind of starting from a basic weight training point of view?
So I had been, like, in
Mm.
my 20s, early 30s, I
Mhm.
would yeah, people would comment on my, like, thick legs, like, I was always
Mm.
pretty muscular and could
Yeah.
get fairly lean. By the
Mm.
time this point came on, I was nearly 200 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I quit weighing myself,
How
honestly,
tall are
because
you, Maggie?
I'm 5'5", so I
Oh
was
my
heavy.
goodness.
I
Five
was
five.
heavier than I'd ever been, and
Wow.
it wasn't making sense to me.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
and that's going to add to the depression. I mean,
Mm.
especially for someone who enjoys activity as much
Of
as I
course.
do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've always been a dancer too. People would ask me
Mm.
to come choreograph their routine. I'm like, "No, like, I'm not
Oh,
dancing in front of people." "Oh,
it's
we got a
heartbreak.
thumbs up for that." I just
Thumbs up for
lost
dancing.
myself. Yeah, there sometimes we
Uh,
can do other cute things
a
too.
little hot.
But
Does it do the
I
hot?
just yeah. So I just completely
Oh,
lost
wow.
myself. So stepping into
Yeah.
it was actually my son. He's like, "Why
Mm.
mom, just come to the gym with me. Let's just go lift weights." Like you
Yes.
I'm like, "Okay, I'll
Mm.
go." So we started, he's a football player. So I started lifting like a football player, and I'm not lying. Within 2 weeks, I'm like, "Huh, this
Hmm.
feels different." Like
Mm.
I feel different. I think I like this.
Mm.
Because I dabbled with weights,
Yeah. Yeah.
the body sculpting classes,
Oh,
you
yes.
lift just to tone, you don't lift to
Yeah.
build, you just lift to
Yeah.
tone kinda thing.
We're not building
And
muscle, we're toning.
yes. So that's the first time seen a change in my body in years, like a good, like
Incredible.
5
Yeah.
years. So I thought, I think I'm gonna stick with this. And all the
Mm.
bodies that I've always liked, like growing
Mm.
up, I remember I used to watch Madonna and think, "Why does her
Oh,
body look different than everyone?" Like,
arms.
she always had
Yeah.
muscle, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "I want her butt." Like,
Yeah.
I want her arms. Like, those were the bodies
Uh,
that appealed to me. Those
yeah.
strong the little skinny
Mm.
body is the athletic, strong bodies. I thought, "Ooh, I wanna look like that."
Yeah.
And I remember watching Terminator and thinking, "Ooh, how does she have those arms?
Sarah
I want those
Connor, those
arms."
arms. It's hilarious that you say this because my biggest thing when I was really, really overweight, when I first moved to London, I basically ate my feelings for about a solid year. And, because I left South Africa, the weather was crap, let's be honest. And then I was like, what fresh hell is this? I arrived in January as well. So
Oh,
the worst
boy.
time to come to London. And I basically gained a lot of weight. I was really unhappy. And I just remember always wearing cardigans because I was so embarrassed about my arms. And I remember saying to my husband one day, I just want to be one of those girls where people look at me and look at my arms and go, you work out, don't you? It's ridiculous to say, but it seems like such a small thing. But we all have these little wins in our heads that we now look back at and think, you know what, that's all I really wanted. But there'll be something that each woman listening to this podcast thinks, oh, I just want, a butt like that. But that doesn't happen unless you spend the time lifting the heavy weights, ladies. We're not talking about body pump. I'm not saying body pump is bad, but what I'm saying is you need to be lifting heavy consistently. So
Yes.
yeah, so Sarah Connor was your arm inspiration.
Oh, yes. Yes. I would just watch her over and over and just think, "Oh my gosh, how
Yeah.
does she do that?" And now
Mm.
when I see you, I have instant respect. I know the time you spend in the gym. I know
Yes.
the kind of person you are. You're dedicated, you're
Mm.
gonna show up, you're gonna get it done. And it's funny, and you probably have the
Yeah.
same thing happen to you.
Mm.
You'll run into someone, we'll be, like, at an amusement park, and
Mm.
I'll have, like, this big muscly black guy come up to me and, like, give me knuckles. And
Oh,
we
I
just
love
speak
that.
the language, I'm like, "Yeah, I got you. I got you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Did you get
fascinating
it?
thing, and I do think the mental side of building the body that you deserve and love and the body that you want as you get older and older, there's a mental win and it makes you so strong and having the focus to commit to that, I think is one of the things that will change you more than anything else in your life. And if you can commit to that, it is so rewarding. And it is just a matter of starting because we all have to start somewhere. You started by going to the gym with your son and then it clicked. And we all go through the process, but really you just have to start. That's the first thing you need to do.
Oh, and you
Mm,
nailed it
mm,
because you completely just change your identity going through this.
mm,
Like, when
mm.
I was going for my son. I thought, "This is a fun time we can spend together, we can
Yeah.
chit chat." We it hadn't clicked yet, and it
Mm,
hadn't become I feel like a poser. I was just going through the motions, just doing something my son
yeah.
told me to do.
Yeah.
And then slowly, ever so slowly, it became, "No, that's me.
That's you.
This is what I do."
This is who
I'm the
you are.
person who gets up, I
Mm,
walk into that gym, and I love
mhm.
it here, and it's part of who I am now. So we do,
I
our identity changes through the
yeah,
process.
I have so much respect for that. And actually, I this is a question I was gonna ask you later, but since we're on the gym topic and we're talking about rolling into the gym, and this comes up all the time with women I work with, but I don't know how to walk into the weight section. And what about all the guys standing around? I mean, there is a lot of, gym bro culture still around. And if you, for the listeners who might feel intimidated by that, and there are a lot, how would you suggest, what would your advice be for them to start building muscle effectively at home or with minimal equipment? Like a top tip for that.
It's amazing what you can do with a set of 10-pound dumbbells. You can
Hmm.
do a whole workout. Eventually, you're going to need some heavier weights,
Yeah.
but just starting out, if you've got a set of 5, 10, and
Mm,
15, you can get it done for a really long time, and some
mm,
bands
mm.
probably.
Yeah.
And really, what's available out there, especially with AI right now
Mm,
and YouTube, you can find a whole playbook, has some great trainers. There's so many options that you can
mm.
just start in your basement
Yeah.
at home
Yeah.
and start to feel that confidence. For me, I
Mm,
hate home workouts.
mm.
I I
Me
I'm
too.
down doing my push-ups and I can see under my couch. I'm like, "I gotta vacuum that." I got
Yeah, avoid. Go to the gym. That's
Yes,
their problem.
my brain can't get there. I'm switching the laundry in between sets. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the process
Mm.
of getting dressed in my gym clothes, putting on
Yeah.
shoes, getting
Mm.
sometimes it's fun if I feel I want a new workout outfit. Like
Yes.
that feels fun to me. It's part of the whole process to me.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
you get your gym buddies. So you go to the
Yeah.
gym,
Mm.
yeah, and there's people that kind of helps me
Mm.
push a little harder sometimes.
Yeah.
When I know there's people there,
Mm.
it's great for my brain to get
Yes.
out of like I don't
Change the
want to be in here
scenery,
anymore.
mix it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to be out. I
Yeah.
want to feel my body move. I want to see people, talk to people, which I used to be a hermit.
Mm.
I thought I was an
Wow.
introvert. I'm like, oh, I'm just an introvert. I don't. It's
You an
because
introvert? Oh my
I still
goodness.
I still kinda
Wow.
think I am. I'm an introvert in hiding, I think. But
Mm.
I wasn't feeling like myself. So I don't
Mm.
wanna see
Of
people. I
course.
didn't want
Yeah.
people to see me.
Yeah.
So
That
being
makes
able to be
sense.
and being able to help women,
Mm.
watch women's
Mm.
lives change just by feeling stronger and confident in your body. It's gonna make
Mm.
me cry.
This is
It cha
this is why you are incredible and why you're such an inspiration. And if you don't follow Maggie, I'm going to share all her links everywhere because I'm obsessed. Okay. But you are such an
You're so
inspiration and
sweet.
you make it accessible. You make women look at it and go, I just want to be part of that, you know? And this is the thing. I'm in London, you're in Utah. We don't know each other, but we kind of do because
We
of
do.
the things that we believe in and how we feel about this. And this is, I'm going to say it, this is God's work. Okay. Because getting stronger and aging well and being able to be independent and mobile and sharp and be there for your kids and your family when you're in your 80s, it's important. And a lot of women just want that. So, yeah, yeah, I appreciate your vulnerability and your amazing heart being on here and sharing this.
You're so sweet. Well, thank you. And honestly, like when I started this, I just felt so good. When all
Mm,
the puzzle pieces started fitting together, I wanted
mm,
to scream up from the rooftops. And
yeah,
people started asking me, they're like, you like something's different. Like,
yeah,
this is what it is. You got to know this. You got to know this. And
yeah,
that's the hard part too, because some people aren't ready for it yet. And you have to
yeah.
wait for them to be like, you want to dish it to them, say, no, it can be so much better.
Mhm.
But once they're ready, I'm here. Like, let's go change your life because
I have a
life is so
question
good.
on that topic because it's something that I come across a lot with the women in my life, and it's hard because you know what you know, and you kind of think if you knew what I knew, then you would start today, but it's not that simple. How do you help someone get there quicker
When they're
mentally?
ready, it's a blast. When they're not ready, you
Mm,
have to wait for them to be ready.
mhm,
So it's hard.
mm,
You have to give them quick wins. So
mm,
when a woman comes to me and she's like, and they want to use all the excuses. My husband doesn't support me. I'm trying to
mm,
make and it is hard. It is when you've
yeah,
got kids at home and my kids
mm,
are all out. Like I have more time now.
yeah,
Granted, my kids are
yeah,
still everywhere and my grandkids are everywhere. We
mhm,
have to make it a priority. We have to really work. It's
mm,
such a mindset shift
yes,
because you've got to change. You've got to take responsibility for it. Once
yeah,
they can take that responsibility, once you can give them some small wins,
mm,
just up your protein.
yeah,
Go to the gym 3 times a week and they start to see, "Oh,
mm,
my body's responding. Oh, and the biggest thing, I
mm,
just feel better."
yeah,
And once they start doing something for themselves and they feel that when that confidence starts to kick in, it's
yeah,
amazing the light that goes on inside
yeah.
of and
It's
then you
wonderful
don't
to
have to
see.
rely on
Yeah,
motivation. They're
yeah,
just like, I wanna feel this good every
yeah,
day. So
yeah,
if you can feed them that in the very
yeah,
beginning,
yeah.
that's magic, I think.
I think a lot of the women I work with as well have kids, young kids. And this is the thing, you know, they'd love to go to the gym 3 times a week, but it's not going to happen. And a lot of the times we end up talking about what is it that you can do for now and at least commit to that. But commit to it for at least 6 weeks, 4, 6 weeks. Like it's that mental understanding as well that, you know, you have to be able to commit to something for long enough for it to take effect. Like anything in life, you don't change your habits by doing something for a week. So it's getting into that mindset as well. But you're right about the small wins, because there are small everyday little things you can do that add up to big results. You just have to stick with it.
No, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, if you can get them to hang on for 6 weeks and they
Yeah.
are actually doing what they need to,
Yeah.
they're gonna see it and they're going to
Mm.
feel it. So if you can
Yeah.
get those, if they're seeing and feeling, and then just what that does to their inner fire, it just
Yeah.
lights
Inner
it up.
fire. I love that term. I love that. Um, Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I want to get into a little bit of insulin resistance chat, which might sound like complete Greek to, if you're listening to this and you don't know what it is. So let's jump into that. But there is a statistic that kind of talks about 88% of women not understanding that they actually have a metabolic situation brewing. Can we talk a little bit about insulin resistance and why, the root cause of it is kind of overlooked by doctors. And obviously based on your experience as well, let's kind of like unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, and it stays hidden for so long because
Mm,
a lot of the right labs aren't even ran.
mm,
So
mm.
I think I was struggling with it for a long time, and they're looking at, so when you go and you have your glucose levels
Yep.
checked, it's possible, that it comes back at I don't know how it's measured where you are, but like
Mm,
90 is a okay number.
yeah.
But if they're not looking at your insulin levels as well, it's possible your insulin's off the chart. That's why
Okay.
your glucose is maintained, because
Right.
your insulin's working overtime. So if no one actually looks at your insulin levels,
Hmm.
you're not going to know this.
Right.
And of course, you can look at triglycerides and your lipids, and
Mhm.
it starts to tell the story. Most doctors just look at that glucose number, and if
Mm.
it looks okay, they're going to send you on your way. When
And it's
really
not, yeah.
Yeah. When really you're heading down a pretty dark path of
Yeah.
metabolic, uh
So if you were to explain insulin resistance in a really basic description, explain to our listeners what that means.
so your body has, probably because of your diet and lack of muscle, you've
Hmm.
got a lot of extra glucose floating throughout your system. So your body's trying to take care of it. Your insulin comes in to
Hmm.
shuttle this extra glucose.
And the
So
glucose is blood sugar, right?
your blood sugar, yes.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
and from the waist down, your body, or from the neck down, sorry, your body doesn't really know the difference
Hmm.
between a piece of bread
Hmm.
or a candy bar. Like glucose is glucose, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Hmm.
So, you've got extra blood sugar, your body's trying to shuttle it, so it calls on extra insulin. So your
Mhm,
insulin, your pancreas is working overtime. So it starts to shuttle this. When it runs out of muscle to store this glucose, which then we call it glycogen, when it is
mhm,
being stored, it runs out of places to store this because you're
mhm,
lacking muscle. So it
mhm,
starts shoving it into your liver. And that's when we
mhm.
get fatty liver disease. So fatty liver disease doesn't come from fat, it comes from excess glucose. And then it
Fascinating,
starts to
yeah.
find this adipose tissue. That's your
Oh,
fat. So it's going to
mm,
store it. So fat isn't making you fat. That extra sugar is making you
that's
fat.
it. Yeah.
And then that visceral fat, the fat around
Mhm.
those organs. So it really starts to cause,
The dangerous
especially if your
fat.
estrogen goes down,
Mhm,
then you lose that sensitivity the the insulin. So
yeah.
that's when that stomach fat, every woman in
The
menopause, like, "Why am I gaining weight here?"
the
And that's
minnow,
why.
they call it minnow belly over here. I don't know if do you call it minnow belly as well?
Yes, they call it the
Yeah,
menobelly, and that's
yeah,
exactly where
yeah,
menobelly comes from.
yeah,
It's a biological, that's just what starts to happen, and without muscle, we don't have a place to store that
yeah,
as extra glucose, and that's why that insulin becomes it's just working overtime. So
yeah.
that's when we become insulin resistant, is
Resistant.
because it's being called on too much.
Yeah.
We
So
need
it
less
just keeps
glucose. Yeah.
spiking throughout the day, and depending on
Yeah.
what you're eating, when you're eating, and how active you are, how much if you actually carry any muscle. I mean, this by its very nature is the reason you need to be packing on muscle, because your body will be a lot more insulin sensitive. which at the end of the
Exactly.
day is exactly what we want to be as we get older, especially with the hormonal changes. So a lot of the women, I mean, I get this a lot asking me about the belly fat. And obviously the first consideration is, right, okay, well, we can't really spot train fat, but you have to understand why this is happening more now than ever. And one of the biggest conversations there is actually having more muscle. But in terms of glucose and talking a little bit about carbohydrates and sugar and all those things, I always like to say, or I like to think that our bodies, as we get older, our bodies get really good at storing energy, not so good at burning energy. And that's
Using it.
one thing we need to wrap our heads around. Like, we need to shift that and turn your body into a energy burning machine. And one of the best ways to do that is to build muscle. So in
Exactly.
terms of insulin resistance though, talking a little bit about, why the whole, we've already covered why eating less and moving more doesn't necessarily work, but it really comes down to what you're eating. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and protein is the only
Mm,
macronutrient that actually changes as we get older. Our need for protein. So our
mm,
when you're
mm,
young, you can eat 15, 16 grams of protein and you're going to
yeah.
stimulate muscle protein synthesis.
Mhm,
As you're older, you might need 25, 30, 35 grams of protein with enough
yeah.
leucine and amino acids to
Yeah.
stimulate. It takes a lot more to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So
Yeah.
that's why your need for protein goes up if you want
Mhm.
to intentionally put on muscle. And then also
And that's
protein
what
is
that means, right?
magic.
Muscle protein synthesis means you're building muscle for your body
Yes,
to actually.
supporting that muscle growth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that doesn't happen, and it gets harder as we get older. So therefore, you need to really make sure that you're hitting your protein, as that's I always say that it's the star of the show. The other two macronutrients, fat and carbohydrates, work together, but protein is the most important macronutrient. And obviously as well, it keeps you fuller longer. There's a lot of benefits. So um I want to kind of check in as well in terms of the subtle sort of biosignals, talking about metabolism. And that's another thing that women might not necessarily really understand, metabolism. But
Mhm.
for listeners at home, what are the subtle sort of biosignals for someone that their metabolism might be struggling? Sort of beyond just the number on the scale, what other little signals could there be?
For me, like the number one, when you hit that like 2 o'clock,
Mm,
like, the blood
mm,
sugar and
harder.
and everyone, "Oh, my blood sugar dip. I need to eat something."
Yeah,
So, we actually go about
mm,
it the wrong way
wrong way.
because we yes. Yes, so that's, which, for the moment, yeah, if you need to get through the afternoon, do what you gotta do.
Yeah,
But if you look a
but you're going
little
to crash
further
again.
upstream, yeah, you need to look
Mm,
upstream. You need to get that blood sugar under control. You need your body
control.
to be able to switch fuel sources. So I
Yes.
think people get in,
Yes.
they turn themselves into these sugar burners. And their
Yes.
body, once they're out of glucose, their body and brain says, I need it right now.
Mhm.
Instead of shifting into fat burning, burning ketones,
Yeah. Yes.
energy for your brain and body that's you're
Yes.
actually switching fuel sources.
Mhm.
People's bodies, they hit that threshold, that sugar, and then they
Yeah.
just refuel. So they stay up here, they never get past that
So
threshold
yeah.
down into fat burning and
Yeah.
using and fat's a great fuel source. People
Yeah.
feel really their energy is sustained, their brain is less foggy,
Mm. Mm.
they they have, much more satiety, less
Mm.
dips when their body can switch fuel sources and burn fat for fuel instead of just that constant sugar, and that's where
The
people
little
live
roller
there. They
coaster.
just
Yeah.
live in that
Yeah.
sugar roller coaster, and they think, "Well,
So
my blood
then
sugar's low."
yeah.
Yeah,
So
let it go
it's
low. Let your body burn
exactly.
fat for fuel.
And then ride it out.
Yeah,
That's
let it
exactly why we have the
yeah,
deeper lying fat stores. Tap into it.
deplete the
But
hell
so
out of it and burn some
yeah.
fat.
Yeah. So then this is a good question. So then for someone listening to this going, okay, but how do I teach my body how to switch metabolically?
So you've
Do I
got to
it yeah?
yeah. You need muscle, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
muscle, you need the right nutrition. You need to
Yes.
quit letting your body you've gotta teach your body to burn fat for fuel. So if you
Mhm.
keep giving it if you keep glucose at the front of the bus, it's
Yeah.
always going to burn the glucose. So you've got to get to times where you deplete your glucose and your glycogen and force your body to burn fat for fuel. And it can be uncomfortable at first.
Mhm.
So many people are like, I can't go more than 3 or 4 hours. If you can't go 4 hours without feeling horrible, you're
Mm.
probably a sugar burner.
Yep.
Your body's not able to switch to that fat burning. You
Yep.
should be able to feel just fine. A lot of us, and it took me a while to get here. When you
Mhm.
become metabolically flexible and your body starts burning fat for fuel, you actually feel pretty, you almost get like a high. When you start
Yes.
burning those ketones, your body
Yes.
switches that fuel source. You can go a full day and feel, yeah, you're gonna feel hungry. You're gonna want food, but your body's fine. Your blood sugar doesn't just dip and
Yeah.
you're lost.
Yeah. Your body has your body has all the tools it needs if you just let it sit for a while and
Yes,
ride out the storm. Now, what we're talking about here is fasting, aren't we?
pretty
So we're
much. Yep.
talking about fasting. Now,
Yes.
I get a lot of slack because I am a coach that encourages women to fast. However, I teach women how to do it properly and to, break their fast with protein and to listen to their bodies in terms of a lot of women in their 40s are obviously carrying a lot of stress and the cortisol is elevated because of perimenopause already. So trying to not make it worse with fasting. However, I'm a big fan of fasting because it has absolutely taught me that it's okay to feel hungry. We it's totally normal to feel hungry. We don't always have to be. We're so scared of feeling hungry, and maybe
The
it's the
discomfort.
discomfort around it. Yeah, and actually, it's
Mm.
normal. And if we think about sort of like, the feast and famine mentality, I mean, we weren't built to be eating all day long. We weren't built to be snacking all day long, hence the glucose issues and the insulin resistance. This is why we are where we are. But I think fasting is a wonderful mental tool as well to push yourself into areas where you may not have gone before and actually go, oh, actually, I can handle this. So in terms of, I know that you're a fan of clean fasting, aren't you? Instead of fat fasting.
Yes.
Because I over the years have like tried both and I will some days I love a good fat fast, having NCT oil or salted butter in my
And I've done
coffee.
that too. Mhm.
Help that. And it's funny because I will do that, and if I'm fasting on a day like that, I will get to about, I don't know, sort of noonish, and I will just feel sharp as a tack. It is like your brain, because your brain's preferred energy source for energy is fat. It's not
Yes.
glucose.
Yes, it
And
loves
that's
those
the other
ketones.
thing. That's why you feel like you're wired. And it's that. So it's teaching women as well that fat is not the enemy. And in fact, it's the opposite. Sugar is the enemy.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we are on so much of the same page. So much. Yes. And you've now
Nuts.
because I know. Same, there's not very many people who think about fasting the way we do, and
Mm,
it's because it is hard. It's so
mm,
individual. Like, you can't just go throw every single woman on a
mm-mm,
20-hour fast, and
mm-mm.
it's so nuanced. There's so many
Yeah.
different situations, and yes, if we have someone who's completely stressed out, their cortisol's off the roof, but then again, maybe they need to fast and get their body out of this inflamed, horrible state. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
fasting is a magical tool when
Mm,
done correctly. So we are completely
yeah.
on the same page when it comes to that.
And one thing I will, so this is, it's good for us to talk about this because you are a woman. I mean, what is your muscle mass percentage? Do you know?
Oh gosh.
I mean, it must be more than 40, 50%, surely. You're
I d-
mostly
my
muscle.
my my body fat right now. I just did a show 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, congratulations. You looked
Oh,
incredible.
thank you.
That
Thank
is
you.
hard work. My goodness.
Yeah, it was,
Wow.
but I was able to do it in a healthy way.
That's
So
amazing.
it works out okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a DEXA scan for like 2 years, and I need one. I need one
Mm.
right now. But as far as body fat goes, I'm about it, I would say like 9 or 10%
That
right
is low.
now.
Wow.
And that's
So ergo that your muscle mass will obviously be incredibly high. And the thing that I keep, a lot of women think about, oh, but I don't want to fast because I'll lose muscle. So that's obviously not the case if you do it right and if
yeah,
you prioritize
exactly.
protein. So can we talk a little bit about how you fast and how you make sure that you do it right so that you prioritize muscle and protein, etc.
Yes. So I do, and a lot of times I just change the way I talk about it so people don't get
Mhm.
freaked out. So I
Yep.
will call it time restricted eating because
Yes.
the word fasting scares people.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
"Ooh."
Yeah.
And what they don't people all the time, "Oh, you can't fast. You can't do fasted workouts." You
Yeah.
No, it does actually increase your human growth hormone. It
Mm.
actually increases your testosterone.
Yeah.
I put on all this muscle, and I say this with a grain of salt, doing fasted workouts.
Wow.
And no one believes me. There
Wow.
you can't put on muscle. Fa and when I was show prepping, my coach said, "You know, let's change this up a little bit. I want you to eat a little. Let's just see if we can how your body responds to that." And it was a fun experiment.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got great benefits. I know I didn't feel quite as good in my
Okay.
workout because
Yeah.
my body is fat adapted. My
Yes.
body knows how to switch fuel sources. So
Yeah.
I feel great during fasted workouts. Other people might feel horrible doing
Yeah.
fasted workouts. That's
Yeah.
fine. Don't do a
Mm.
fasted workout.
Mm.
But I know just from my own body that I was able to put on plenty of muscle. I'm still fasting, but I also get in 150, 180 grams of protein. So it doesn't affect my protein intake.
Mm,
And
and
I
that's
think
the important
that's the
thing.
trick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of women think, "Oh, I'm gonna fast for, like, 18 hours," and then they look at me and they go, "Oh, but I'm not gonna how am I gonna hit my protein?" I'm like, "Well, that's kind of your problem. You need to hit the protein."
Yes.
So, you wanna fast for 20 hours, but you kinda need to hit, your protein. So,
Yeah, if
that's
I
really
have
good
a
to know.
woman that can't fit in her protein, then we're gonna cut down the fasting window.
Yeah,
Like, I that
yeah,
needs to take priority until
mhm,
they can figure it out. And
yeah,
it's just a great tool to use if you've got I started out really insulin resistant, and it
mm,
really helped
yeah,
to eh, it cured me of that
wow,
and upping my
yeah,
protein. So I enjoy that feeling. I enjoy
yes,
ketones. I enjoy the way I
yeah.
feel. So, and every woman's different, of
And
course.
I'm curious, how often do you fast? Or sorry,
Well,
restrict your
ooh,
eating
I
window?
really like I have to fight it not to. So
Mm,
so
mm,
I really time restrict pretty much every day. If if there's days that like my coach is like, "No, we've gotta up your carbs too. Like we're gonna hit
yeah,
like close to 300 carbs today." I'm like, "Okay, I gotta break my fast earlier in the day."
yeah,
So
yeah,
it depends on what my day looks like.
right.
If I'm upping my intake, then I've gotta eat longer. So, but if
So
it's just a normal day, yeah,
yeah,
my window's about I'm about I have like a 6-hour eating window. So I'm about
okay,
18:6, pretty average.
okay. And
Yeah,
you stop eating, so this is also kind of just chatting about your circadian rhythm as well, if we talk about that. So are you a fan of not eating by the time that it gets dark,
big
you're
fan.
done? Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yep.
this is because our bodies are wired with our bodies basically sync with our circadian rhythm. So can we talk a little bit about that? Do you want to jump into just a little bit of a description of what that means?
Yeah, it's just our body's biological, it ebbs and flows all day,
Mm,
and it's supposed to. Cortisol is supposed to rise, it's supposed to go back down.
yeah.
Melatonin.
Mm,
If you're seeing the sunlight in the morning, it tells
mm,
your body, "Oh, in about 12 hours, we're gonna need to bring in some melatonin." So all
mm.
day, our body's getting these instructions from the universe, from the
Yeah,
light, from the
love that.
sunlight, from
Yeah.
the exposure we have to our phones. It's getting information all day.
Mm,
So if we can control it and help it stay in a natural pattern as much as possible, our body's going to react a lot better to that.
yeah.
So if we're shutting off our eating when it gets dark outside, our
Mm,
body doesn't wanna be digesting when it's dark
yeah.
outside. Our body's wanting to shut down, give it what it wants.
Mm,
So, especially if you've eaten enough during the day,
yeah.
it's very safe and very wise to shut down your eating window because your melatonin's not gonna come in if your body's still trying to digest everything, if your blood
Yes.
sugar's through the roof. So you want that melatonin to come in. You want it to be able to help you fall asleep,
Mm,
help you stay asleep.
yes.
So
Yeah.
it's very important to pay attention to that circadian rhythm. It will help with your sleep. So a lot
Yeah.
of people just ignore it. So if we pay attention, give our body what it needs, let it
Mm,
ebb and flow as it wants to,
mm,
we're going to get better sleep quality. So,
yeah.
that of course, there's so many things we can talk about. The blue light,
Mm,
how it stimulates,
yeah,
turns off your melatonin. You start you're waking up at night because your blood
yeah,
sugar is like, there's so many things that go into that.
yeah,
But I think protecting that rhythm that your body naturally wants to be in and taking the
definitely.
steps to do that is important.
I love that. And also just having that mindset of experimenting and seeing what works for you. And not getting stuck in a rut of doing the same thing every day, because that's the other thing I find. A lot of women that say to me, "Oh, I fast 16/8, done. That's me done. That's what I do." And I'm like, well, maybe just play around with it, and especially then if you're throwing training into the equation, and I'm asking you to lift a little bit heavier weights and you have no energy, maybe you need to kind of dial the fasting back a little bit and then just see how you feel. But be
Exactly.
open to exploring and not saying, "Well, this is what I do." Well, that doesn't exist. You need to just try different things, definitely.
Yes, and our
Mm.
body changes too.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
first started this journey, it was
Mm.
really important that I brought down my blood sugar and that
Mhm.
I had to really pull back my carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Now my body, I can handle triple the amount of carbohydrates that
Yeah.
actually helps to fuel my muscle and my
Right.
workout. So
Yeah.
my body's changed. If I would have stayed with that, there's no reason to stay. My body changed. My
Yeah.
hormones changed. So
Yeah.
we've got to be able to make those adjustments.
Yeah, and
So
now and
important.
again, like when we get back to the whole muscle equation, the more muscle you have, the more equipped your body is to handle carbohydrates because it's using it for muscle glycogen. So, that's another reason to kind of focus on building muscle, that you can be more flexible about what you eat. So that makes life more fun in general, really. So,
Exactly. I never thought I would have this relationship with food. Like
mm,
it's such freedom to not be
mm,
so obsessed every minute with what because my body can handle so much more now. I
that's amazing.
never I never thought I would be able to eat 2,000, 2,200 calories a day and not have to think twice about it.
Yeah,
It's such a better way to live
yeah. The
without being
freedom,
obsessed.
the mental freedom
Yes.
that you get. Now
Yes.
now freedom, because you can eat more and you can enjoy your food and you can be a bit more flexible if you go out with friends, or, it's not gonna be the end of the world because you have your lifestyle, this is how you train, this is what you do. But can we talk a little bit about tracking? Because
Yes.
that again, sometimes can be a very sore topic. And I mean, I've spent most of I don't know for the last 10 years tracking my food. It's just something I do. I love data as well, so I love being
Same.
able to go, oh, last year I was eating more carbs. This year I'm eating more fat, or I don't know. It's all information, but I think a lot of women look at tracking as a stick to beat themselves over the head with, and it's really just information, but it depends on which kind of lens you look at it through. But I think tracking is a massively valuable tool, and I think specifically with protein, how will you know how much protein you're eating if you're not tracking your food? I don't know which other way you would know.
Especially when first starting out. Like, you
Yes.
could probably stop tracking right now, and
Yeah.
you would probably still I bet you could get it within
Yeah.
10 grams. Like, you would know
Yeah.
because you've
Yeah.
done it for long enough. So
Yeah.
I think that's a healthy place for people to get to.
Yeah.
Track long enough that you learn what's
Mm.
in food, you learn what makes you feel better, and
Yeah.
then you can put it aside if you want. Some
Yeah.
people enjoy and I went a long time and didn't track, but I've
Mhm.
been for the last little bit been tracking really, really tightly. Well, I've been competing, so I've
Yeah, of course.
had to kinda
Yeah.
see, but I'm just like you, I love the data. So I
Yeah.
love looking back at pictures and say, "Ooh, when I was
Yeah.
really pumped and, like, showing some good
Yeah.
shoulders, oh, I was eating this."
More carbs.
I love that data. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if it becomes an unhealthy place for you, like the scale can be,
Mm.
then you need to
Yeah.
learn. You need to learn what you're fueling your body with, but then set
Yeah.
it aside. And women who struggle with that, I at least want them to know their protein intake.
Yes.
So if they're like, "I hate tracking, makes me feel horrible, I feel guilty if I" like, just do your
Mm.
protein then.
Yeah.
Track your protein, learn use the eyeball method, like, get
What
as
that
close
looks
as you
like.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you at
Yeah.
least know you're getting your protein
Mm.
and then set it aside. And that's just
Yeah.
we're all women who enjoy different things. You gotta do what
Exactly.
works for you, or
Yeah.
else it's not gonna stick. It's gotta be
Yeah.
sustainable. Gotta be a lifestyle you can do. So find
It
what
has
works
to
for
be
you.
sustainable. But I think the thing that for me personally, the biggest difference tracking made that I was finally able to achieve my goals. And when I say goals, I'm talking about body composition. So, and that mostly would be because I was tracking my protein, but I was also eating more than I had before. And it scared me. It scared the living daylights out of me. But the difference between eating so little food that your body actually is basically just surviving because you're so close to your basal metabolic rate, which is really the calories you need to be sitting on the sofa all day and survive. But when you're so close to that level, your body has nothing else to work with. So understanding that you have to eat more if your goal is to build some muscle or even just maintain the muscle you have as you get older, the whole notion of just, eating less and moving more, it's probably the worst strategy out there. And also
And
for women over 40 in particular, I mean, why is that such a bad strategy, would you say? The eat less, move more for women over 40?
well, everything's going to backfire. You're if you're not getting enough fat, like your hormones are going to be, they're already falling off a cliff. They're going to
Yeah.
tank even harder. You're going
Yeah.
to feel horrible mentally.
Mm,
Like your libido's out the door,
yeah.
and with your libido goes your drive for everything else.
Yeah.
Just nothing good is going to come out of not getting the nutrients your body needs. Your hair's going to start falling out. You're going to
Yeah.
lose your bone density. I mean, nothing good is going to come out of restricting
No.
that heart. Nothing. And I don't think women, that's why, and you hit the nail on the head. I don't think they realize how little they're eating and how what they're asking their body to do.
Yeah.
So when they start to see that, oh, wow, I thought I was eating more than that.
Mm,
It's, I think, very eye-opening because then you can really start to support your body. If you wanna age
yeah.
well, you've gotta fuel your body well.
You
And
have
and it
to.
used to be like, "I only ate 500 calories today," and you go to bed feeling so proud of yourself because you had a good food day.
I'm
Now
so
I do the
hungry.
opposite. Yeah, I go to bed, I'm like, "Dude, did I eat enough? I worked so hard for this muscle. Like, I better be eating enough to keep this muscle because I worked damn hard
Oh,
for it."
I
So
love that so much. You work so hard to build a muscle, you have to maintain it. Like that's
yes.
the most important thing because yes, none of us want to be frail old ladies. We want to be carrying our
No.
own shopping, we want to be doing our own stuff. Like you have to change your mindset. And I'm always really excited to get women to that point where they understand that it's no longer about, yes, the aesthetics are important. Of course, we all want to look good. But this is about longevity. This is about visualizing you at the age of 18 going, what does she look like? Is she independent? Can she, move freely? Is she still able to go for a hike? Or, and all of these things won't happen if you don't have muscle and a strong bone structure.
Yeah,
Um,
and whether we like it or not,
mm,
people say, "I only care about what." Luckily, aesthetics
mm.
go with like, if you look like you have muscle, you probably have muscle. And
You
so
can't
it's
fake it.
yeah. So you're probably doing okay. So you
That's
can tell
so
from
true.
looking from the outside in, even though no one wants to admit it, you can tell
Yeah.
if a person is fit and they're doing if someone has
Yeah.
muscle, that means the other systems in their body are probably working well because their body's working well enough to put on muscle. It's got
That's all
some
right.
extra
That's a
to it.
really good
So you're
point.
you're
Yeah.
doing some good things for your body.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. So I mean we've talked about why muscle is the holy grail for insulin sensitivity. And I hope that makes sense. If you're listening to this, I hope it's giving you some insight into that. Um, but so ultimately, we talked about tracking as well, which is great. But so let's talk a little bit about your book. So we've talked about the circadian health anyway, but one of the circadian health is one of the pillars in Metabolic Me. Do you want to chat a little bit about the book and what it's about, and as a guide, what it provides women?
So I what this book is pretty much so when I first started coaching, which I don't do as much one-on-one coaching right now. I just don't have the
Mhm,
capacity for other projects or on the rise. But I there was 6 pillars that I felt were really important.
mhm.
And they all have to do with metabolic health
Yeah.
and being as metabolically healthy as possible. And these were the 6 things that I felt accomplish that.
Mhm.
So getting rid of sugar,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, not complete, but at first, like people, you've got to dive in and get your body functioning, burning the fuel sources it needs to. So that putting on muscle, so the muscle
Mhm.
centric, everything is
Yeah.
geared, everything I do is geared toward
Mm.
putting on muscle because you're gonna be more metabolically healthy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be cognitively more healthy.
Mhm.
Your disease prevention skyrockets.
Yeah.
So all of these things have to do with functional health. So
Mm.
these 6 pillars, thought this would just be so much easier like in a book. And then if
Yeah.
someone doesn't even want they don't want coaching, they wanna try and tackle it
Yeah.
on their own,
Yeah.
here you go. And it gives
Fantastic.
you yeah, there's 2-week there's goals to help you kinda line up online, learn
Right.
these processes, start implementing a little bit at a time, and by the end of that 3 months, you have some really great tools that if you're sticking to it, you should be feeling so much better and
Amazing.
looking so much better. So if those 2
Yeah.
things go hand in hand, people kinda get the fire to keep going.
Mm.
So that's really where that book came from and why it turned into
Love
a
that.
workbook, so people could
Mm.
just do it on their own. If of course, it's nice to have a coach. If you have
Yeah.
questions, you have
Yeah.
someone to be accountable to, but
Yeah.
you don't this will give you the tools if you really follow it that you
I
don't
love
have
that.
to have a coach. So that's where that came
Yeah.
from.
It's amazing as well. And again, like even if you're not the kind of person you think, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to stick to it. But if you have that guide to hand, you can work through it at your own pace. You can
Exactly.
learn as you go. And I'm all about women educating themselves and advocating for themselves and understanding how certain things work. And when it comes to things like biohacking, which is really just a fancy way of saying simple ways to hack your biology. And these aren't
Mhm.
like, hacking your sleep. That's literally one thing, and which we
Yeah.
know is the most important thing of all.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think having a guide like that is a good starting point for someone who's completely new to,
Yes.
metabolism and understanding
Yeah.
what is actually happening inside your body.
Well, it's too hard to just or just rely on willpower. If you have the
Yeah.
knowledge behind it, you know what you're I'm eating this
Mm.
because it does this. It
Yes.
make for me, that helps
Mm.
me. So that's what I assume other women, it will help
Yes.
them too,
Yeah.
understanding why we are doing what we're doing, not just
Yeah.
doing it to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so the book is on sale on Amazon or
Yeah, you can
anywhere
get on
or
Amazon,
yeah,
anywhere you can order books, you
amazing.
can get it. But yeah, Amazon's probably the easiest.
Fantastic, and it's called Metabolic Me. I love that.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up. I
You're
forget
so
about that book
welcome.
all the time.
I love it. Um, okay, so in terms of I think we've talked a lot about, biohacking for beginners. I think the biggest biohack you can do is to put on some muscle. Let's start with that. Like, eat your protein, put your
Biggest
muscles
trick.
on,
Yep.
try and limit or reduce your sugar. And then, fasting is a natural way where you'll give your body a break. Um, and actually, I think for me personally as well, like fasting helped me to get rid of a lot of my cravings
Yes.
and in making sure that I was eating enough fat. I went through a
Mhm.
period, I was keto for probably about 3 years, 2017 to 2020. And that was an interesting experience. However, I lost a lot of muscle and hadn't quite realized the effect that eating 80% fat a day wouldn't really leave a lot of room for protein.
Yes, yes.
But you don't know what you don't know. So it was an interesting experience. And I took a lot of that mindset with me into, um, you know, where I now am a lot more open to fat and being quite liberal with fat. And I always say to women, try and steer clear of the low fat options because it'll just be riddled with sugar to compensate for the
Exactly. Yeah,
taste. So
they fill it with something else.
it has
And
to
if it's
taste like
not
something.
protein, then
It's
it's
not
sugar.
protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I think we've covered so much today. It's been amazing talking to you.
Oh, I
And
we could chat forever. We're on so much of the same
yeah,
page. I love
yeah,
it.
definitely. It's incredible. I love it. So just if we ended on, I think one thing, if MMB40 podcast listeners do just one thing after listening to this episode to help improve their insulin sensitivity, and I already know what you're going to say, what would it be?
Now I wanna say something different. Now I wanna throw
Mm.
you off. Especially through menopause, you need to intentionally move in a way that you're going to put on muscle.
Mm,
So spending all of your time
yeah.
doing all of this it's great. Yes, get out and move.
Mhm.
I'm never gonna do the exercise you love to do. but you're going
Yeah.
to be able to so if you love running, if you just
Mm.
love that's fine. Maybe replace it just a couple days with lifting heavy and
Yeah.
go ahead, keep your run, but also fuel your body in a way that will support that muscle.
Mm.
So, I would say that is the
Yeah.
easiest, and you gotta sleep. You got to sleep.
Mm. Yes. You have to. You have to. Muscle won't build without sleep.
Yes, you've gotta sleep, and
Mm.
just as far as blood sugar, like, if I slept 3.5 hours the other night, we had a late flight. The next day, I
Yeah.
had I been wearing a CGM, I know it would have said that I was a diabetic because you're starving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
cortisol's through the roof, so then your
Yeah.
blood sugar's through the roof, then your insulin's through the roof. Like,
Mm.
it's just one day of that, what that did to me.
Yeah.
These women who are living day to day to day like this
Mm.
and just not letting their bodies recover, like, that's just a horrific trap,
Mm.
a cage you get yourself into with no key. So you've
Mm.
gotta start none of this is gonna work if you're not sleeping, honestly.
Yeah.
You've gotta sleep.
Yeah. Exactly. I love that. That is a great note to end on because I always talk about sleep. Um, Thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you?
Instagram, so I'm
Yes.
Func, Func, so functional, Func_health. That's where I am most of the time. I'm on TikTok a little bit, and I should probably keep my website updated a little bit more,
The
but there
website is great.
too, if you
Yeah.
wanna get a hold but really Instagram's where I am most of the time,
Amazing. Well,
and I'm
thank
so
you
glad
so
you found
much.
me. It was such a
Oh,
pleasure to meet you.
I'm so glad I found you as well, and I absolutely love your content. I love the realness, and if you go and follow Maggie, you'll be as hooked as I am. So,
You're
but
so
thank you so
sweet.
much for today's chat. It's been so much fun. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. And if you've enjoyed this one, like and subscribe, hit the comment section with any questions, and we will see you in the next episode.
Alright, well, you're just stunning, such a pleasure.
I
Can't
feel
wait to
like we
see
need to do
more of
one more
you.
Nux.
Yeah.
Nux.
Boom. There we
Boom.